Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening to episode 165 of The J, and this is a re-podcast of episode 70 of the making of The J podcast. 70.
You're listening to the ENT RADIO Podcast, and here's your host, Dennis Amos.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to ENT Radio. Today is Sunday, July 10th, episode 70. And today's episode is a short one. Figured, you know what? I've been asked quite a few times and also received many emails regarding how I record the podcast and what kind of equipment that I use. So I'm going to go ahead and do a podcast about that. So hope you guys enjoy it. Well, to begin this segment, I just want to say that you can create a podcast with, minimal hardware. Just a microphone, and some people, I believe, with your PCs, you can just connect your microphone to your line-in input of your sound card, and use something like a free program like Audacity or Sound Recorder and just record. I can tell you that the original ENT Radio episodes back in the 90s, we did them back using Sound Recorder and Real Audio Producer, and later on, I have a Mac now, so I use a different program, but I'll go into that later. But yeah, you can use just regular software. You can use, sound recorders, MP3 players that do record audio. Some people have podcasts like that. One podcast that I listen to, which is surfing related, as in surfing in waves, Surfing News, he uses a his MP3 recorder, and the benefits of that is portability. You can be anywhere and record where you want. And the problem, though, is that it depends on the quality that you're getting. I can tell you that Rob at podcastnyc.net, he wrote to me, and he uses a let me see here. I believe he uses an iRiver, and he says that he uses stereo and mono input, and I really enjoy his podcast, and his recordings really turn out really good. I've heard Don and Drew and Adam Curry's podcast using the iRiver, and perhaps they're doing it at a lower bit rate, and I know that iPods record at a lower bit rate, but the iRivers really record very well. And he told me that he's just using a regular mono Radio Shack mic. And I was listening to his last podcast at Yankee Stadium, and that one, that one sounded pretty good. So when I'm out and about, I use pretty much, just a video camera to record. Sometimes, I just it just for some reason I like getting the audio and just connecting it to my mixer and then recording in to get a certain type of sound. I like that. Sometimes I use I have my Pearl recorder, which I use for my interviews and which I used in the past, and then I have a this just a usual Olympus or actually a Sony sound recorder that. The problem with those is that they sound very tinny, and as you've noticed with some of the interviews that you've listened to, a lot of treble, not enough bass, and it's just really tinny. And, that's why I'm trying to find other solutions, and there's other podcasts that use something called a Marantz digital recorder, so it's something I'm probably going to look into. As for podcasting here at home, I went with a mixer and preamp solution, and the mixer that I use is a Behringer Eurorack MXB1002. I purchased it at Musician's Friend several years ago, and one of the reasons why I purchased it is it had 5 XLR or 5 mic inputs, and 6 regular stereo or mono inputs, and I bought it around $69. and I think it works great for my uses. I can connect different equipment and different mics and record at the same time. So you might want to check Musician's Friend for a good mixer. Behringers are low cost, and a lot of podcasters use them. But some of them, some professionals who really want what studios have, they go for the Mackie, and those are a bit expensive. Now, I have my Euro mixer, or my Euro rack mixer, where I connect my mics and a lot of my inputs, may it be certain loop recorders and other hardware equipment. I connect it to my mixer. It goes into a PreSonus Blue Tube, which is a preamp, and also I have a PreSonus Smart Compressor. And that's just one of the equipment that I have to record. The other one I have is a Behringer Composer Pro, Ultraflex Pro, and for my headphones, I use a headphone preamp where I can have at least 4 headphones for different people when they're when they're listening to the podcast. They can hear how they're coming. We can all hear how our vocals are coming through. So headphone preamp is very nice. But I buy a mounting, like a mounting rack. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have like an 8-layer mounting rack, and you can see the information, the names on the ENT Radio Podcast. But let me turn the levels down because every time I turn around, things start squeaking here. Let's see here. I have a Furman power conditioner. That one cost about $60. That one allows you to connect a lot of these compressors and these other equipment inside your rack, so it powers it up. The next stage is I have Electric's Warp Factory, which is a vocoder. And for those who are wondering what a vocoder does, let me do a sample of that. Okay, this one is the Electric's Warp Factory, and this is how it works.
Hello everyone, you are listening to ENT Radio. This is the Warp Factory, the ultimate vocoder by Electric's. Yes, you are listening to this stupid machine. Hello. Yes, I'm there. Hello, how are you doing today? I am doing fine, and you?
And that was an Electric's Warp Factory vocoder. I really don't think anyone should, have any use for a vocoder unless if you need those robotic voices. At the time, I think I picked it up. It was it was on sale. Originally, it cost quite a bit, but when I got it, it was on sale for $100, so I picked one up, and it was a mounting rack hardware, so I figured I want to give it a try. You can accomplish this through many filters via certain software now, so you really don't need to spend that much on that. And to tell you the truth, I don't want to say it's worthless, but unless you really need it, then if you could find uses for it, then go for it. And I know a lot of people have uses for it, for electronic music and so forth. So if you can make it happen, go for it. The next equipment that I'm going to display here is another thing that I spend a lot of money on, and that is a Groovebox. And in my case, I purchased the one of the first Grooveboxes, the Roland MC-303. Many MC-303s are used by musicians to incorporate additional music to, I guess, what they already have for their hardware. Some people use it for commercials. Some people use it on the DVD featurettes that you listen to. And the Groovebox runs about $300 and more, depending on which versions you have. The newer ones are really awesome. And just to let you know how the Groovebox works, let me go ahead and start off with the track. And there you have it. That was the Roland MC-303, loaded with so many samples and so many things that you can really take advantage and create your own music. Some patterns may sound kind of old school, but it serves a lot of uses if you know how to use it properly. And the next one I'm going to display is the Korg EA1 Electribe. The Electribes, and there's quite a few in the series, do different things. The EA1 is one of the first Electribes. It does analog modeling synth type of sounds, and I'm going to go ahead and show an example here. Now, the next thing you're going to listen to is another device that I have used for GN Radio, and it's another Electribe. This is the Korg ER1. The Korg ER1 is a rhythm synth, and this one deals with mostly drum beats, so let's go ahead and try it right now. I'm going to go ahead and mess with this real time, so here we go. So pretty much it's a lot of drum beats, and I can actually mix it up together with my other Korg Electribe, and that is the Korg ER1 right there. Now that's just a little sample of what kind of equipment I have here for the podcast. A lot of this stuff I use for intros and background music, but really you don't need all that stuff. All you need is a good mic, and for PCs, you just need a really good mic. I use SM57s, 58s, and those cost about $100. Some people on podcasts that you may listen to, they use Radio Shack mics or Logitech mics that they got at CompUSA for $25 or less. You can use that. I know Michael Gohagen for his Real Reviews podcast. He has a very extensive and expensive setup. Really good mics and a really good recording device. So it depends on the individual and what your use is. What do you need it for? I have a Mac, and since there is no line input, I had to buy a M Audio Delta breakout box to connect to connect recording devices to the computer, and it works really well. You can get these at Guitar Center pretty cheap if you have a G4 or G5 Mac. And as for software, believe it or not, I don't use GarageBand. I use Sound Studio, which is from Felt Tip Software, and it it works well for me. It's I know in the past you've heard me have problems with the software with some bugs, and there is a new version out as of last week, but I guess for the uses that I have, it's quite limited. I don't have a multi-layer track. Pretty much everything is just copy and paste. It works for me that way, and what takes about 20 to 45 minutes can end up taking about 2 hours. It depends on the person. Some people can record straight through with no editing, and some people edit meticulously. I was talking to Ray Nagara of the World of Anime podcast, and he was telling me that for his recent episode, his Anime Expo episode, it took him several hours of editing. So I've talked about my episodes, even if it's short, it takes a while. I remember with one of my podcasts, the Metro Media Complex podcast, that took for one episode that took about 45 minutes. It took 4 hours, but it just depends on the person. And for me, I decided, I'm not gonna spend many hours tinkering with my podcast and trying to remove every or trying to get the audio levels right, because it drives me nuts. I could spend too much time doing it. So I try to at least put in an hour or less of editing, so it just depends. So that's what I pretty much use. I use a good mic stand, which I picked up at Guitar Center. And some people like overhead mics. I have one just directly facing me here, and I use a spit guard, so you don't hear the pops. The early ENT Radio Podcast episodes, when you say a P, oh my gosh, that thing would hurt your ears. So I don't have that anymore. Well, that problem, hopefully. And what else do I have here? I think that's pretty much it. I use Sound Studio, and then I use iTunes to convert the audio, the AIF, to MP3. And I record it before I used to record it at 28, now I do it at 64. So, mono. So, I think I experienced once with 128 just to see how big the file was, and it was like 28 megs. And I know some podcasts out there, like Yeast Radio, some of their podcasts go to like 50-something megabytes, and that's something, you do have to worry about bandwidth if you use big files. But I think with this new Libsyn, maybe you don't have to worry too much. Anyway, that's pretty much, how I record the podcast. Everything it's pretty simple. If you have a PC or Mac, anyone can do it. It just depends on how much you want to invest and how much time you want to put into it and what you want to include in your podcast. You can use a regular MP3 recording device, tape recorder that you just record to your computer, or digital recorder. A lot of the Japanese Digio podcasts, they record using digital recorders, and you can hear them walking the streets, doing sound scene tours and so forth. So I think, people don't really need to spend a lot. I spent a lot. And that was on multiple wirings, mics, monitors, mixers, all this other equipment. And you really don't need that. As for compression, some software now does the compression. You can just do it via software. You can do certain special effects via software, so you really don't have to buy the hardware for that either. Some people some people like having that manual control for controlling their audio, but a lot of this stuff can be done digitally via software now. So anyway, that's pretty much it with this podcast. And before I go, why not mess around and do a song live using this equipment? So pardon me if it sounds a little disjointed, but just gonna mess around. And let's see here, what thing should I miss? Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it the Stupid Snake Song. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Visit JEnt on the web at www.nt2099.com/J-ENT and email JEnt Radio at nt2099@gmail.com. See you next time.